So you have this baby's back in this arched position with a tilted pelvis, but then you're able to, manage the airway and then provide sweeties through a pacifier or through the, the little tubes that they give out with sweeties. And so the baby's in this great, real stable position. The hips and shoulders are square. And what we're trying to do, it's not only the first stick rate, getting CFS, but making sure that in be it 1, 2, 3, usually we get on the doctors get on one stick with our product. That's what we've heard. But what ends up happening is even if they try once, twice, 3 times, the chances of getting CSF are much higher because the baby's sitting and gravity actually takes the CSF down into, the spinal cavity, and there's more CSF available. So they're not getting a dry stick or a dry tap. And so the reduction in unnecessary admissions is really significant. Number one. Number two, they don't necessarily like having their face jammed between their knees. And so a baby is generally resisting that. And so nurses or whoever they're holding have to almost do isometrics to hold the baby in that position and it makes sure that the space between the vertebrae, well, the babies are often crying and kicking and screaming and twisting and turning. So the hips and shoulders aren't square to the spine. And the doctors, and the skin moves and everything. So they really need sort of a stable, repeatable, standardized procedure to improve the success rate. So everywhere we're installed, at Boston Children's and Chapin Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, and Lurie Children's Hospital, DeVos, the list goes on. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody. Mayo Clinic, it just goes on. We're in almost 50 hospitals. We've only been out for about a year and a half. And almost everywhere we are, this is anecdotal information. Do not hold me to this at this point. But almost every hospital where I'm talking to doctors, at CHOP and the NICU, at Boston Children's in their ED department, the IR department at CHLA, almost everyone is up over 90% success rate. So they're going from 35, 40, 50% success rate up over 90%. And the impact of that is huge because 52.7, there's a couple of papers that talk about almost 53% of babies who do not get a diagnosis. And this is not the only reason why they get admitted, but almost 53% of babies where they can't get a diagnosis via CSF are admitted, and a huge percentage of those babies are admitted unnecessarily. Nurses no longer need to hold. They hate it, they hate it, they hate it. So now the nurses, what they're doing is the baby's sitting in this chair, they're really stable, and they actually take the pacifier and they dunk it in sweeties or take the sweeties directly in the baby's mouth, and the baby just calm right down. And then we think they feel like they're being swallowed, but they almost always fall asleep in the chair. It's the combination of creating stability and repeatability, getting nurses away from having to hold, and then having the baby not have to have multiple sticks and or get admitted unnecessarily. So there's sort of this ripple effect of this standardization and consistency.